welcome to Mr. Otter Studio. My name's McCall, and today I'm going to show you how to make a ring. Recently, I attended the Sundance Art Institute, and my teacher, Tara, her information is below, showed me how to make a silver ring with a semi-precious stone. And if you don't want to make your own jewelry and just buy it, I've put her information below. She's amazing at what she does, and she's also a great teacher. This is the classroom at Sundance. The first thing you need to do is choose your stone, then figure out what size of ring you're going to be making. I chose flat jewelry wire that's not decorative, but you can also choose some that has been stamped or even stamp it yourself. Cut the wire to the right size. And then if you're going to be using stamps, this is a small stamp, you can practice on copper first. You can use electric tape to keep your stamp straight. I decided to stamp my brother's name into my ring. You have to kind of move it around side to side to make sure each part of the letter is in there.
Okay, so at the 6.
Then you need to hammer the band on a ring mandrel. Typically you do it 2 sizes smaller. Check it and make sure it's the right size, and clip off any extra. We want it to be a little bit smaller because of how it will be set underneath the ring. Now you need to cut out a silver plate that's going to go behind the stone and make sure it's flat. You don't want it to rock back and forth, you want it to be completely flat. Then you're going to place bezel wire around the stone and mark it and cut it. And there's a lot of different designs of bezel wire you can use. I just chose simple straight edges. Mark it and cut it out. Check it to make sure the stone will fit inside. You want it to just meet perfectly around it. You don't want there to be any extra. Then you're going to place the bezel in a holder and solder it together. You can use wire solder or sheet solder. We're just clipping off a little piece of sheet solder for this part. So that tiny little fleck, place it on top of the bezel. And when you heat it up, it might jump a little bit around because of the flux. And that is why you can see somebody coming in and kind of touching it and keeping it in the right place. So you heat it up and it's going to seal the bezel together. Place the bezel in pickle and then water and baking soda. And it basically just cleans the flux off and cleans the silver. Place it around your stone to make sure that it fits and that the stone isn't going to fall out. Make sure you can't push it through. And now we are going to connect the bezel to the silver plate. So we spray the flux on. This time we're going to place wire solder inside, and then we're going to heat up the plate. And we're trying to focus the heat more on the plate than on the ring. So just going in circles, moving the solder to the edges where it will seal the bezel to the plate. Then again, you're going to dip it in the pickle and then in the baking soda and water, which cleans it off. And now we need to remove the extra pieces of silver around the bezel. And all of the silver is recycled. So every little clip can be recycled. So you're going to use snips to just snip off the edges first, very carefully. You don't want to scratch or cut the bezel, just the silver plate. And being careful not to cut your fingers. And now there's little extra pieces that you're going to use a grinder to carefully remove. Then you also need to take your band and create a flat place for that plate to connect to the band using the grinder. Just going to grind it down so it lays flat and will stand on its own. Now you're going to stick the bezel and the plate into a fire brick, which is very porous and allows you just to stick it in and it'll stay in place. Spray it with flux, then add the solder wire. Make sure it's centered, and then you're going to heat the band up. Then you're going to use the torch to heat the band up. And you're trying to create an even heat. You don't want to keep the torch on one spot. The ring's going to be extremely hot at this point. place it in the pickle and then in the baking soda and water. And now you have your setting and the ring. The finish of the silver is up to you. I decided to create more of a satin finish with this cloth that it's almost like a sandpaper, but it's a little bit more gentle. I wanted the letters to stand out, so Tara showed me how you can use liver of sulfur. You paint it on and then you kind of rub it off so that all of the black goes into any of the indents or creases or the letters. They stay dark, but then you rub the dark liver of sulfur off of the band. And so your design really shows up and pops. And if the stone isn't raised enough, if you want it to be raised, you can actually use cob meal to put under the stone before you place it in so that it's raised a little bit more. But I liked the edge, how much I had. So you basically are going to use the edge of the table, the steel edge, to press the bevel over the stone to keep it from falling out and kind of seal it together. And then you use a bezel on a bevel to smooth it out and just make sure it looks nice and uniform and that stone is secure. I absolutely loved this jewelry making class, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and it taught you a little bit about silversmithing. I hope you get the chance to take one of these classes. It was really fun, and I just added this little clip at the end because as I was walking at Sundance that morning, I found this little guy. He was completely frozen on the trail because there was a big storm the night before and had washed him kind of out onto the road. So I picked him up and put him back probably where he came from. There's just like a little stream that goes through Sundance. But I'm not even kidding you, all summer my son and I have been looking for salamanders and we didn't find one. And finally, we found one at Sundance completely frozen. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Also be sure to check out Tara's Instagram. She has some really cool jewelry on there. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day.